Yes, thank you for having me. And I'm going to share my screen. This is always something, I know we should be used to this by now. So here we go. And so here we are. I'll go through it and then afterwards we can have questions. So yeah, happy to have more questions. And if I speak too fast, you can interrupt me and tell me to slow down. Sometimes I go off. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. And tonight we'll be speaking a little bit about corporate activism. And I think that's how maybe you know Patagonia is as an activist brand. And so I thought I would share with you a little bit of what we've been doing. First off, I'm going to share with you where I am. So this photo is lacking snow. I need to change them. But this is where I live. So I'm on the other side of Switzerland from most of you tonight. I live in Valais, and this is my backyard. I'm super lucky that I have this as my backyard, and these are the things that I love to do is mountain biking and hiking. And actually, I don't paraglide, but that's my son who's flying, who's up at 5,000 meters, who's able to look down at the backyard and able to look at those glaciers and the crevices and see everything from above and understand what's going on. And so this is kind of my passion. And this is also my reason for maybe being myself such an activist, is trying to save or protect what I love. So this is one of the biggest learnings I had when I started at Patagonia, was really to love where you are and want to protect it. And a couple of weeks ago, I celebrated my 10-year anniversary at Patagonia, and that was a big moment for me because 10 years, you realize it's been a long time and what has been your path. But it truly is a special company. And when I got the job 10 years ago, I kind of just thought I'd be selling T-shirts and some outdoor gear, and it would be a cool job. And it is a cool job, but it actually makes you think a lot about what you're doing, and you think about who's doing stuff for you, or you think that there's people taking care of it behind us, and actually you realize that no one's taking care of it, and we all have to start to take care of it and make a stand and think about protecting our planet and saving it. So my role at Patagonia is community and impact manager for Switzerland. And so that means that I build communities, I storytell, and I also want to work with our NGOs that we work with. But when I first started 10 years ago, I go back again, my Enviro director, she said to me, "Are you an activist?" And I had 3 smaller children at the time, and I said no. And at the time, Extinction Rebellion was quite big, and there was a lot of people being arrested. And so there's no way I'm an activist because I don't want to be arrested, and I have to focus on my kids. But then you realize that activists there's so many different ways of being an activist. And this was one of my first ways of being an activist out there, is standing up against these mountains where I live and getting our photos taken by a very famous photographer. And this is now sitting in Verbier, where we're trying to speak to these rich people who live here, and they constantly party, and no thought goes to these mountains and these glaciers and the lack of snow. So it's trying to, this was an activist movement, and at that time, and that really made me realize that, you can do it differently. And that's what Patagonia kind of spoke to me a lot, is that there's no right way of being an activist. You can vote, you can go and do Extinction Rebellion, you can have, do it by photography, you can do it by storytelling, but there's so many different ways. And tonight we're going to speak a bit about corporate activism, but this was just my story of where it came to. What's really great is that Patagonia is a purpose-driven company, and we've been in business for over 50 years now, and we want to keep being in business for the next 50 years. And so we have to have a mission. So we actually have a mission to make sure that we follow a path, we follow a purpose, and this helps us, like our guiding light, our North Star, to make sure that we know why we're doing certain things and we question what we're doing. And so it's a really strong statement for us to say, because we're in business to save our home planet. And how do you do that? By making outdoor clothing. It's always it's always something difficult to work with, but we do a pretty good job, or a somewhat good job, or you can let me know. So today, so like I said, we're a different company, and we're going to speak about a business unusual. And one of the quotes that stood out for me with Yves Lanchenard is, he said that every time we've made a decision that's right for the planet, it's turned out to be good for business. And so this is something that really underscores Patagonia's guiding principle, that prioritizes environmental sustainability, but doesn't come at the cost of profitability. It can actually enhance it. So just to give you a little bit of background to who we are, because I'm not sure you all know who Patagonia is, but this is basically who we are, where we came from. So these guys are these climbers and dirtbags, as we called them back there. And this is in Ventura in California. And they were not environmentalists. They were not, these big activists. They were bohemians, dirtbags, and they just wanted to get out there climbing. And they made pitons in this little tin shed. And pitons are used for climbing, just so well known. And pitons are really important because they go into the rock wall and they hold us from falling down off the rock wall. The rope goes into the piton and holds us up there, making sure that we can continue to climb. So right from the beginning, we were all about quality and durability. So that's always been our standpoint, is how we make our clothing with good quality and durability. And so that's basically where it came from, is, making pitons. You knew that you had to make them to be with good quality, otherwise you would fall in and get hurt or die. But Yvon Chouinard saw what he was doing to the environment, because he was drilling rocks into nature. He was drilling into these rocks and hurting nature. And so he decided at that moment he had to stop making these pitons, and he turned to clean climbing, which is with the, if you climb, it's with the, now I forgot the name, but it's with the little ones that you hook into the wall and you don't put holes into the wall. So it was really all about clean climbing, and he went that way. But then he finally completely switched, and he went into a totally different business model where he started to make clothing. So that was the beginning of Patagonia, and Chouinard Equipment, which this was called, where the pitons were, is now Black Diamond. So just so you know how it's straight off the path, we really became a clothing business, and we kept the idea of quality and durability and responsibility on the environment that we had as outdoors people. And he wanted to make sure that future generations could be able to go outdoors and have a future and have a healthy planet. Who are we? So we make outdoor clothing or a product for these kind of sports. So from mountain biking, fly fishing, climbing, surfing, skiing, and trail running. And we're not here to do one-time transactions, but we want to build relationships that last a lifetime. So we want to connect with you and through our memorable products and our stories. So another story. So this is the image of where we are from, just so you know that first image with the tin shed isn't in Ventura, and this is our headquarters in Ventura. And Yvon Chouinard built this office next to a surf break. He was not only a mountain climber, but he was also a passionate surfer. And he needed to have access to these waves to be able to practice our passion. And he hired people who were passionate about surfing and climbing, because that's who he could relate to. And he wanted to make sure that you could go surfing or climbing whenever you had time off, or when there was good waves. If you read the book, Let My People Go Surfing, that is ingrained in us that, when it's good snow, when it's good waves, when it's good weather, that we do our sport, because that gives us time to think outside and build our spirit. And if you see in the back here, there's the waves. What you do not see in this photo is there's a river, and you might see a tiny bit of it. But anyhow, there's a river that goes into the ocean. And this river is quite important, because when the river breaks into the ocean, it creates the waves, the wave, like the break. And the town wanted to create a dam on this river. And that would mean that the river would stop going into the ocean and there would be no more waves. And Yvon, at the beginning, he didn't quite understand that. And it was a student who explained this all to him. And so he said, there's going to be a town hall meeting. You need to come to the town hall meeting, because we're going to tell you, we want to protest against this river being dammed up. And so Yvon went with many people, and they learned about the cause and effect of this dam. And from that day on, he said, okay, there's no way we're going to have this dam being built. They protested it, and he learned all about the oceans and how it's created the waves, and he had to save the river. And this was the beginning of 1% for the planet. And so 1% for the planet for us is our way of really speaking to the activists and to these grassroots NGOs about helping them stop or help, save nature. So this was the beginning where this student, he came up with his idea of protesting, and Yvon gave him a desk in that headquarter office and said, here, from now on you work here. And he gave him a desk, he gave him a phone, and he said, you can do everything from this area, and we'll help you contribute to making sure that this works. And so that was really the beginning of 1% for the planet. Today, 1% for the planet is not under Patagonia. It is its own entity, and many different companies can fund into 1% for the planet, where the NGOs, I'm so sorry about my dogs if you hear them, and where the NGOs can get money and support for their environmental causes. And this is a form of imperfect advocacy, but it also shows that every little bit helps in fight to protect our planet, and encourages everyone to take part, even if they're not environmental, experts, or full-time activists. So I get to tell, what's really great with Patagonia is I get to tell many stories that Patagonia has shared. And we focus on so many stories at Patagonia. We tell the stories of our NGOs, of our change makers, of our athletes. We focus on elections. We focus on energy, on mountains, and on rivers. And powerful storytelling is really essential to raise awareness of environmental causes and gives them a sense of urgency. And we focus our storytelling around product activism, environmental activism, and the intersection of our core sports. We focus on long-term success of our immersible, our reputation and credibility, and our mission to save our planet. And we're constantly asking questions about how to do it right, how to get more people involved, and how to bring more people outside. If I go to tell you again, Patagonia makes products. So then you'll be like, how does this go with environmental and corporate activism? And here's another little story of how, at the beginning of time, how we thought differently. So we make products, and I'm going to bring you back to the 90s. We're in Boston in our store. And the store has been open for some time, and our staff are getting really sick all the time, and we couldn't understand why they're getting sick. And so we had people come into the store to check the air circulation system. Was it working? Was it not? And the people who came in, they said, actually, your people are getting sick because the cotton that's in your t-shirts is full of pesticides, and these fumes are coming out of these t-shirts, and they're making everybody sick. And Yvon Chouinard, he was like, wow, I didn't know this. It can't be. And there's cotton is bad, and it's starting to affect your staff. So he said, okay, that's it. We stop using cotton for our t-shirts, and we're only going to use organic cotton. And this was again met with many different refusals, just like at the time of Chouinard Equipment, where they were like, why would you change a business model that's working? Here again, why are you going to change something that's working? We're making money. We have the supply chain. We have everything in place. We have margins. You can't just change, get rid of cotton and make it into organic cotton. And he did it. He changed it. He changed the whole thing. He made his own supply chain. He vamped it up, and in 4 years, everything was made. And that's, again, he started the Organic Cotton Coalition at the time, pushing for many other brands or big industry to switch from cotton to organic cotton. So this was one of the big steps of showing that we were a responsible company. And I think that's the biggest thing for us is we can never say we're a sustainable company, but we want to be responsible. So we're responsible in everything that we do, because we make products, so we're part of the problem. But today, most of our products are made with fair trade. We use 99% recycled plastic. We use Ulex instead of neoprene for our wetsuits. We've gotten rid of the PFCs in our Gore-Tex. That's a huge step for us this year, or last year. And this year, you'll see that all the Gore-Tex now on the market from all the brands, there is no more PFAS in it. And that's just incredible. And 100% of our down is traceable. So we strive to be different at all times. We look at the way our products are made and make sure we take the impact into account and do everything we can to reduce it. A big thing that I want to speak to you about is our warmwear program. I'm not sure if you know about it. So this is one of the biggest initiatives that was brought out from Patagonia, and it was commitment to sustainability and the circular economy. It was launched in 2013, and it encourages people or customers to extend the life of their Patagonia gear by repairing, reusing, and recycling it instead of buying new. We offer repair services, tips for self-repair, and the option to trade in used Patagonia items for store credit. But that's only in the US right now. We're going to hopefully get that soon in Europe. And we really try and promote this buy less, buy quality philosophy. Warmwear not only reduces environmental impact by keeping products out of landfills, but also fosters a deeper connection between customers and their gear, encouraging a more responsible approach to consumption. Fixing something we might otherwise throw away is now inconceivable to many who are in fast fashion, but the impact is enormous. In today's society, we are product consumers, not owners. Owners take responsibility for their purchases, from proper cleaning to repairing. So when you own your house, you're going to repair it, or even if you rent your house, you will repair it because you want to make sure it's looked after and good. But consumers, the way we're doing now with the fashion and everything, we take, we make, dispose, and repeat, a pattern that is causing an ecological nightmare. We need to behave more like owners and repair rather than inflict something new on the planet if we truly do not need it. We also take repair on the road, which is really great. We are coming this winter to Davos, St. Moritz, and Grindelwald. So we're super excited because we will be in February in those 3 spots. And it'll be great. And you can see in some of this imagery, it truly brings joy to everyone who gets stuff repaired. We listen to their stories. We find out where jackets have been. Yeah, it's just a whole storytelling and impactful and amazing couple days when we're out on the road. We also bring an NGO with us usually to talk about climate change. And it's a great way to get people to understand, that they can keep a garment longer and that it can have less impact on the environment if they do so. We want people to realize that it's really cool to repair. So now we switch out from worn wear, but so we go back to this whole protecting what you love, and to do good, you actually have to do something, is what Yvonne Chouinard has said. And in the past couple of slides, I spoke to you a lot about the company and purpose and its values, and we do a lot of good. However, to really believe that you do good, I also feel like I have to be doing good. So I'll speak to you about a personal personal level, and this is where over the years I've seen so much climate change happening in my backyard. And this first image here that you see on your left is in the 80s. And in the other image, it's the same mountain in the summer, last summer. So you can totally see a different change, a total change. And this is really from the beginning of my presentation, where I say, this is really what I would like to protect, and where it drives me to work with our NGOs who are 1% and protecting more of what we love. And I think this is where corporates or where individuals, if they find what they love and what they find something in it, then they'll be wanting to protect it as well. At Patagonia, we believe in getting our hands dirty and to make a real impact. Our work goes beyond product innovation, focusing heavily on campaigns that raise awareness and inspire action on key environmental issues. So here I really did get my hands dirty. I was out there doing trail building in Poscavio in Graubünden a couple summers ago. And we really want to work with the communities to engage in sustainable practices. So we speak to them about buying local, recycling, or participating in events that foster environmental stewardship. One of the big campaigns that we did, so like when I speak about getting our hands dirty, it means working on campaigns and looking for wins. These women that you see here, and these are just a couple of them, there was many, many women, but these women were the part of the heart of the fight in the Balkans. They stood for more than 300 days blocking this river to make sure that they had a river flowing and access to fresh water. So this was part of our Save the Blue Heart campaign, which was started almost 10 years ago. And it's taken about 10 years. So we really helped raise the voices of these women through film and storytelling and different NGOs and politicians. But it's taken about 10 years where we were able to save this river. So this is the river Vjosa. And we campaigned all around this river, bringing stories, imagery, film. And it is one of the last free-flowing rivers in Europe. It's super important for biodiversity and nature to have it continue to flow. And now it is saved. It is a nature park, a national park in Albania, and it continues to flow free. I'm not saying it's easy, because we're constantly working with the government to make sure that they understand that it needs to flow free and there's not some kind of side issues happening, because what they believe and what we believe are totally different. So the work is not done, but it was a huge celebration when we were able to say to these women and to all the other villages around this river that there's continued to be fresh water around it. Another campaign that really was close to my heart, where I was deeply invested in, was talking to all over the area of Switzerland in addressing the relentless expansion of ski resorts. And this was showcased in our film Vanishing Lines. And it challenges to reflect on how far we're willing to go, especially in Switzerland. So the film is about Austria. It's on the Pitztal and Ötztal glacier, where they wanted to build a big ski resort on these glaciers, the size of many football fields, and destroy one of the last big glaciers in Austria. And so we won here for the time being. I mean, the government there is trying to figure out a new way to build on this glacier, but we did win the case at the time to not have this being built. But in Switzerland as well, we don't realize how far we're going and how far we're going into our last untouched wilderness areas. And do we really need to be going that far into it? So it was really interesting to turn with this film and speak to different resorts on, why do they need to keep building more ski lifts? Why do they need to go further and further into nature? Why is it not enough what we have? So this was really, if ever you have the time, Vanishing Lines, it's a 15-minute film, truly interesting, speaking about glaciers and why they're important and why we shouldn't go and build on top of them. I would like you to take a breath. And now we can take another breath together. And that second breath, it came from the ocean. So the oceans are so very important to us. The oceans, they cover 71% of our planet, with 50 to 80% of all life found beneath its surface. And so we started about 2 years ago a campaign on protecting our oceans. And so it was a global campaign where we wanted to speak globally about protecting our ocean, but each continent had to come up with their own campaign of what law can you create and try and push through to get a law made around oceans. And so in Europe, we have done banning bottom sea trawling across Europe. We have brought our petition to UK, Germany, and it is going to Spain next week. And in January, it will be going to European Parliament. So it's been a massive undertaking to get 200,000 signatures, which you would think would be easy. It takes a lot of time to get people to sign a petition to actually, so an activist step of signing a petition, that is an activist, and people don't like doing that. And so it takes a lot of time to get those 200,000 signatures to come. And we have been going with our campaign with 4 films that we created for this campaign, speaking about the ocean and why it's so important and why bottom sea trawling should be stopped. So if you look at this photo, this is a photo of under the ocean and how it should look. And it's beautiful, it's pristine, it has, plants or corals, it's beautiful. And what it is bottom sea trawling is actually taking big boats, and they have these big nets behind them, like football field nets behind them, and they come along and they drag these big nets along the bottom of the ocean floor to catch fish in large quantities and in an indiscriminate way. And this is causing massive damage to the seabed, plants, animals, and their spawning grounds, effectively turning our ocean into a barren, lifeless underwater desert. And bottom trawling is not only a major contributor to CO2 every year, but it releases 1 billion tons of CO2 from the seabed. And so we can no longer sequester our carbon into the ocean floor. So again, we're having more and more CO2 go into the air, and we are killing our oceans and basically killing ourselves in the future. So for us, this was, here's my little QR code, but so this campaign is still running, and this is really taking action to stop this devastating practice. Which was amazing was that in Sweden and in Greece and in, I forgot the other country, but in 3 countries, they have stopped bottom sea trawling. So that was really amazing news over the summer. So it is, it is being spoken about in governments. We have been working with so many NGOs to get this across all over the place. And it is, you need everyone on board to have a campaign like this happen. And hopefully in January, a law will get passed to stop bottom sea trawling. So this image is quite, we're quite proud of it, because this was last week. The German team brought the 200,000 signatures. So at the time it was 199K, if you see on the photo, but they brought the 199,000 signatures to the government in Berlin, and met with the government to speak about this problem. And hopefully, in Germany, it'll be stopped. What is interesting is, Switzerland's involved and we're not part of Europe. So I've had people be like, well, how can our signatures matter? But they do matter. All of the signatures do matter. And what it has come across in Switzerland is we find that it's bringing discussion into, do we need to make in Switzerland a law where we look at what kind of food we're bringing in? Should we be taking food that's having bottom sea trawling practices? So these are discussions that are happening on sidelines with NGOs within Switzerland and politicians within Switzerland. So huge discussions can happen when there is an activist movement. So it leads to others. And this as well, like the stop and bottom sea trawling, it's good for the ocean, but it's as well really good for those communities, those fisher communities who lost their fish and who lost their jobs, are looking to a future, and right now with none. And this is helping them see a future with something. So it's there's a positive story, and I really do welcome you to watch the films, because the films are beautiful and they're all positive stories of planting seaweed, of activist steps behind them, where they're showing, truly opportunities and how they can bring back nature, because nature does come back if we let it. And coming to the end, I hope it's okay for you guys, but so just to show that everything we do has an impact on the planet. And so the friction point between responsibility and economics is a difficult one. And for years, our approach to business has been different. We're trying to get more and more companies to adopt the model we're creating. And what we say to them is, be transparent, be authentic, and be honest. Don't be perfect. We don't have it all figured out. As soon as we solved one problem, we move on to the next. And there's so many things to sort out. We continue to improve. We use the company as an experiment in working differently, as a model for other companies, as a strong voice when it matters, and as a source of inspiration. Our work does matter. Yvonne Chouinard once said, it's not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one that reacts best to change. We cannot stand still and do business as we did in the past. Our greatest challenge today is to manage growth. We have to stop thinking that all growth has its advantages. And the answer that lies in these words is sobriety, quality, and simplicity. Why are you attracted to Patagonia? We're all about building lifelong relationships. Everything we do is about building lifelong relationships, a community. And if we focus on memorable products and our stories, people will continue to be drawn to us. Thank you.